to Leader's Edge, where
Learning is a never-ending
journey limitless vistas.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Leader's Edge. Today, we have a wonderful guest, an old friend, somebody who will be discussing resilience in the workplace. And to introduce himself, because I know he's the best person to do it, let's all welcome to the virtual stage Raul de la Vega. Raul?
Okay. Hello, Dino, and thank you so much for inviting me over to your show. I've always been following your show, and I've always wondered what it would be like to be a guest. It looks like today is a dream come true.
Indeed, it's almost like we haven't seen each other in a long time, which isn't true because I know we saw each other just a few hours ago. but that's another story. So, Raul, as an HR practitioner, I'm just really curious because like many who do practice HR, their journey didn't always begin as an HR person. Take us to the beginning. How did it start with you? I mean, did you always know you wanted to be an HR person, or how did it all begin for you?
All right. Well, thank you so much. You see, my journey, at least as a in the field of training, began in 2000. I was in a totally different industry. It's the uh, entertainment industry,
Ooh.
bowling to be
Oh,
exact. Okay, I used to be in the bowling center manager, but I've always had a fascination wanting to be in the training industry.
mm,
So when there were openings in the BPO industry that occurred, I applied and I became part of the training industry since then. So since 2000 until today, I'm in the training industry for the BPO industry. Okay.
that's amazing because normally uh, things like behavioral sciences, psychology would be prerequisites as academic backgrounds for those who end up in HR. Uh, I know because I asked the same question ages ago when I was being recruited into Dale Carnegie. I said, I have a fine arts degree for crying out loud. I work in an animation company. I train people, sure, but for animation. So, why me? And so then, of course, the president had to convince me that this is why. So, in your case, Raul, currently, what are you doing exactly right now?
All right. Well, what I do is I help entry level individuals and sometimes folks who are already in operations with the development of communication skills, customer handling, and
Mhm.
also with product training. I also
Okay.
dabble in product design.
Mm.
So
So,
what I
mm.
do.
so you're with Sutherland, right?
That's right.
What is your official title in Sutherland?
Well, I happen to be a training professional, and there right now doing I'm doing training for one of our U.S. accounts, and this they're in the food industry. That's where I'm
Oh,
focused. Mhm.
I see. And to my recollection, that's the longest employment that you have held. Yeah.
That's true. That's
How
true.
many years have you been there?
I celebrated my 15th year with the company just last month.
Wow,
May, yeah,
congratulations.
May
Yeah.
15th to be exact.
Wow, 15 years last May 15.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, since the topic today is about resilience in the workplace, and this can take many different perspectives. Like one of them is obviously how did you achieve resilience? Given that our times are such turbulent times. We've had this pandemic for 2 years. It's not
Mhm.
quite gone yet, and now we're looking at monkeypox of all things,
Oh, yeah.
diba? So, and of course, what with the elections just being over, I'm sure there's so many things that are like up in the air, and it's kind of hard to think too long term. So let's start with you.
Mhm.
How does resilience translate for you as an HR practitioner? Especially because it's so hard to make plans.
Mhm. Uh, Over the years, I've noticed how some of the ones who were most successful with their in their career, what they would oftentimes do is they would know when it was time to relax, or when
Mm,
it was time to take a break, or when their shift is done. All right, that's it. So take for example a senior manager whom I admired so much, and this happened in my fifth year in
mm,
the industry. I joined the industry in 2000, prior to Sunderland, and then I had this senior manager. What I noticed that was different about her was, oh wow, she was very effective. I don't mind mentioning her name. Her name is Jean. Okay, and what I noticed about Jean was when it was time for her to go home, she would go home.
mm,
But mind you, she was very effective. During her shift, oh my gosh, she would go meeting after meeting, uh, hold plans, do several duties which I felt were rather stressful. But
mm,
when it would be time to take her break, she would do that, and then uh, when it would be time for her to go home, she'd go home. She
mm.
wouldn't stay longer than necessary. She maximized the use of her time. And that was a terrific example for me, which I do to this day.
I see. So you're saying that she, as well as you, uh, don't bring work home with you. In other words, you live a very compartmentalized life. So work is work, home is home, and you don't let it mix.
So,
So is that a fair assessment of how
yes,
you? Okay,
that's right.
yeah. So in the past, we have interviewed people who are usually the HR VPs or the division heads. So this is a unique moment because we're now getting a chance to ask it from ground level. In other words, from people who have to do the operation side of plans that are organization wide. So Raul, from you, let's look at resilience from another level. For example, with the very people that you are training, that you are coaching, how do you see them able to practice it?
All right. Well, at least that from the entry level side, because the ones whom I train are new, oftentimes are new to the company. So
Mhm.
when it's time to go home, all right. Yeah, so you could see how they really rush for for their lockers and then head for home. Okay, that's fine.
Mm,
What I noticed would be different is, let's say they start ingrained in their duties. I've noticed there are individuals. Okay, it's nice to be dedicated, but then we're talking about putting in 3, 4 hours of work additional. Well, okay, yeah, you get paid handsomely for that. But then
mm,
the downside to that is the stress that it would cause, and it adds up. Oh, I'll give you an example. One example was my former senior officer when I got into Sutherland. His name was Hubert.
mm,
Now, Hubert, what I noticed was, see, he would always, he would always come a little earlier than necessary. If his shift would be at, let's say, 10 a.m., he would be there around 9 o'clock. And then he would put in extra hours. Okay. Sometimes during his shift, and I'm telling you, this is pre pandemic, during his shift, oh my gosh, exhaustion would already take its toll on him because
Mm.
he had, there were times when he would even have to work early in the morning, because of the time difference with our company and other clients. And I could tell that he was exhausted. So from there, I said, oh my gosh, one day it's really going to take its toll on him. And it would happen when people start calling in and saying, hey, I won't be able to come to work because I'm sick, high blood pressure, or they
Wow.
had to go to the clinic. Oh my gosh, uh, that's not really a good sign. And
Mm.
these are situations that I'm telling you were pre-pandemic. And I said, that's why it's really important. It's really important to um, maximize your time.
Mm.
Whatever efforts you need to put in a particular duty, do it during your work hours. Get it done within that time.
Mm.
Because after the let's say when your shift is done, whatever it is, you really need to know that it's time to head for home and be with your family.
But that's a very good point because I myself have seen in a call center that's near here, but I won't name just so that I don't embarrass them. I
Yeah.
have seen an ambulance pull up to their driveway at least 3 times in the last 2 years. So that tells me something that perhaps people in their offices were so stressed that they collapsed or something or other, and they had to be picked up by ambulance because they were no longer mobile. And yet, listening to you, I also have to balance your observation with something that I noticed in other organizations before the pandemic. Like, for example, a US company that I can't name, but they were all software programmers, and their job was to create antivirus programs and other applications. What I noticed and asked their HR leaders were, these people are sleeping on folding beds and they're resting in the lobby. They're taking a nap. Uh, my question is, why is this happening? And then she said, well, because they're tired, and we allow them to sleep. So some of them bring their own sleeping bags. They put it below their desk and they sack out when they're exhausted. I say, okay. Why are they so exhausted? And she'd say, well, because they stay sometimes 10, 12 hours in the office. Whoa. I said, 10, 12 hours. Why don't they go home? And then she said, watch what's happening. And so I looked around, and you know what I saw? I saw that some software engineers, when they get stressed, they get up and they play ping pong in the middle of the work floor, and they're playing ping pong. And then after about a few minutes of playing ping pong, one of them has a eureka moment and then goes back to his workstation and continues the line of code that he couldn't figure out when he was so focused. He had to relax to be able to step back and see the code in his mind. Hmm, amazing. And yet, some of them would have Zumba sessions from time to time. Uh, People zooming about on skateboards and electric scooters in the office. So, um, my question then becomes, if going home is sometimes not practical, like for example, not enough public transportation or long lines. Do you notice the same thing going on where you are? I mean, do
Yes.
people chill, have fun, to
Yes.
just to try to relax?
Yes, nothing could be more important nowadays, especially after we were hit by the pandemic. Imagine uh, the sleeping quarters that you mentioned. Okay, that happened before the pandemic. When 2020 kicked in, a number of sleeping quarters could cease to exist because because they imagine that that could be a hotbed for the spread of the virus.
Oh yeah,
So
good point.
no, imagine no sleeping quarters. I know that even in some establishments, they used to have a big game room. They used to have even a movie room. So that had to be closed for the longest time, for over a year. But there was one good alternative, and a lot of folks could bring their handheld devices with them during their rest time, and they would play these online games. Now they'd say, "Hey, come on!" Let's say, it was especially when they would work in teams, no? And then so they would go into battle together. Oh my gosh, you'd see them having fun. So that would be their let's call it their ping pong relaxation moment, the handheld online games, and
uh,
this flourished into an activity. I know that with like take for example the company that I work at. Well, prior to the pandemic, we used to have sports fests on a regular
yeah,
basis,
yeah.
and then, but of course, that had to be put on hold for a long time when 2020 kicked in. But later
Mhm.
on, they had what we would call uh, mobile games, a
Mm.
mobile games event. So imagine a team from our site against a team from another site. So, well, we have over 12 sites in our organization here in the Philippines. So imagine, so the team from our location against another team from another location. It was fun. It was fun. People were definitely engaged, and for those who wouldn't necessarily join that particular league, of course, on their own, they would have their fun during their break time, and sometimes, when it's the lunch period, they just grab a quick meal and then they look forward to playing their mobile games as one.
Mhm.
So you can see that indeed it's how they would maximize their relaxation moment.
I see. So I can understand how that would help them de-stress and find some time to have recreation and keep them safe from the pandemic, because when you work and interact through your devices, there's no physical contact. So that's smart. That's a very good idea. Um, a question I'd like to ask now is something along the lines of how do you manage to balance all the things that are happening in your life? I mean, I know for a fact that you're also a very active Toastmaster, and you sometimes physically travel to clubs with their hybrid meetings, or you attend those online meetings. Does that help you at all distress and remain resilient? Could you
True.
explain it to our viewers, and maybe we'll end up being able to recruit members to your club?
Well, thank you for giving me that opportunity. Uh, ever since we we got into the 2020 to be exact, when we had to be confined to our homes. So I'm happy that we had the online platform. So
Mm,
the clubs where I'm a member at would meet online. And what's nice about these online meetings is the clubs would have a very enjoyable theme. So
mm,
at one time we had what you call a in one of the clubs that I'm at, they had a space, uh, they had a space time warp theme, and then
mm.
sometimes others would have a travel theme. Depends on, and it's a great way to relax. You get to express your views on topics of your choice. Imagine talk for 5 to 7 minutes, and then interact with your friends. So, what can be more relaxing? and that's why to this date, in the before the pandemic, I could only attend a maximum of two clubs because I would physically travel to the location. But nowadays, wow, I could attend four meetings in a day.
Wow.
Yeah, like on Saturdays, usually I would attend the meeting in the morning, say around 9:30, and then the next one that I would attend would be at 2 o'clock, and then the third one I would go to would be at 7 in the morning, and there were also times when I could attend Toastmaster meetings abroad. You would think that it would be something difficult, but no, it's very enjoyable, very relaxing. So I encourage anyone, if you would like to not just develop your communication skills, but find a relaxing way to interact with others, attend the Toastmasters meeting.
So, Raul, given that you attend so many clubs, and as you said, on Saturdays, up to four, imagine that. Um, I'm kind of confused now because for a lot of people, they will say that they're suffering from Zoomatitis. This the process of being in so many meetings is exhausting for them, and so and yet here you are enjoying the process of having four Toastmasters meeting, and I suspect there are times even that they may be back to back. You just finished one meeting and you jump to the next one. Um, doesn't that stress you out, or does it in fact energize you? I mean, how does could you explain to us how you enjoy
Okay.
it so much?
Well, I'd find it more energizing. The reason for that is, remember, you are jumping to a different venue, so it's a different set of people, and the activity or the role that is assigned for you is different. So it's a not just a change of scenery, but a change of what it is that you're doing. So, like in one meeting, I could be the speech evaluator at that for that meeting, and then okay, later on, maybe an hour later, I would go to another meeting. This time, I'm a general evaluator, which is fine. And then after that, an hour after the conclusion, go to the next meeting. I would be the topics master. So yes, so different roles, different environments or folks whom you get to deal with. And of course, what's also important is you enjoy what you're doing. So yeah, if you enjoy meeting people, interacting with those whom you see, you look forward to that. And that helps a lot. I'd also like to give special mention to some clubs that have made their meetings superbly well. Uh, you and I, we've got friends in this club called I Aim Toastmasters Club.
Yes,
That,
yes, yes.
that's the one that's run by Volts Victoria. And, Volts has made it super wonderful in his club. Like, okay, sometimes they have these events, like these games, and then the participants, they get entitled to the prizes. So that's one way also of, when you feel that, hey, you've been recognized, it adds to the fun. So that's why mm, we don't look at it as something stressful. Thanks to the leaders of each club, they make their meetings fun. They have an enjoyable theme, and then everyone looks forward to the next meeting. That's why, again, uh, those of you who probably haven't yet tried visiting a Toastmasters club meeting, you'd like to head for one.
Mm. So that's probably one of your secrets for remaining pleasant and
Mhm.
relaxed despite the demands of your work.
Mhm.
So you mentioned that sometimes attend club meetings that are international. So
Yes.
that means you also have to deal with differences in culture and in accent. Hmm.
Yeah.
So, Raul, the inevitable question would be, how does that mesh with what you're doing? Because you're working for a multinational corporation, company. Um, are there takeaways or applicable lessons that you bring when you get back to the office in relation to your experiences in the Toastmasters?
All right. Well, a lot of it has got to do with culture. I'll give you
Mm.
an example. One meeting that I enjoyed attending was this club meeting in Ukraine. All right. So there was
Whoa.
a Toastmasters club meeting in Ukraine, and at that time, they they there was this Eurovision event that had just concluded, and the entry from Ukraine had won. I said, what I noticed about that was the folks from different countries, they expressed how they loved it. And well, as I got to look into it, oh, this, Eurovision, you have to check it out one day. It's been around for the longest time, and that's where aspiring artists, they tried out. I know Celine Dion sometime in 1988. She tried it out before she became super popular. But so it's a great launch pad for artists, and it's a great way for you to discover upcoming talents. It's well, so I got that's something I got to find out, and then I said, I've got to listen more often to what goes on with Eurovision. So uh, every time you attend a meeting, even abroad, there's always something that you'd be able to pick up. And culture-wise, it expands your horizons.
Yeah, I can see how that can be fun.
Mhm.
I myself have visited countries like Greece, and they have such a charming and an enthusiastic club culture
Mhm.
over there. The only thing is that their meetings occur at our 12 midnight to 3 a.m.
Mhm.
equivalent. So that means I have to stay up long into the night, but it's worth it. And when I visit clubs in Japan, one thing that I really love about them is how appreciative they are, how nice the intimacy is with, say, Tokyo ESS Toastmasters Club or Oval Toastmasters Club, and of course, their their habit of starting on time and ending on time.
Love that.
Yeah. So Raul, given that we've explored how Toastmasters helps you to be more resilient, to distress, to chill, and you're keeping your work and your life separate from each other, compartmentalized. One now is tempted to ask you, um, if that's what is fun for you, uh, what else do you do to help you to stay as relaxed and as stressed
Mhm.
as you are?
Right. Ever, ever since the pandemic had started, okay, I would also download some of my what I'd call a favorite video game. So just like most people, all right, when I have some me time, okay, I would play a video game. I like, one that I like in particular is a game that involves tanks. And
Oh.
so it lasts. One round lasts approximately 7 minutes. So, but that's just enough to de-stress anyone.
Mm.
So after 7 minutes, I feel a little bit more relaxed and get back. So with whatever if there's there's got to be a video game for anyone.
Mm.
Download it, but it doesn't take too much space from your mobile phone, and that it'll definitely be great.
I think the important thing to stress here as well, especially for HR professionals, is that uh, it's not necessarily a bad thing to allow our staff or our talents to have some ways to unwind, to relax, because sometimes too much focus can lead to high blood pressure, to stress. So during moments when they can take a break, they really take a break.
Yeah,
And I think that's what you're describing here. Mm.
that's
So, considering how you started out in the entertainment industry, meaning bowling, and now you've transitioned over into training, um, what does the future hold for you? What do you think? I mean, like, I'm sure eventually when you reach your 20th year, uh, you probably would be retiring. What do
yeah.
you hope to do during the later years of your life?
Yeah, well, I certainly hope that I would be invited to paid engagements, no? Maybe to schools or other institutions to give talks on various topics, some that I'd be very comfortable with, and of course get handsomely paid on the side.
Mhm.
So that's something that I'd like. In the near future, I believe that there would be more. We'll be getting more face-to-face meetings.
Mm.
To give you an example, companies right now are looking at having their team buildings come back, and
Yeah.
which is a healthy good sign. So they would also include hybrid, okay, face to face with a little bit of social distancing as well. So that'll be fine. And of course, being able to be part of these activities, and then uh, and then doing it on a professional level, like being a professional public speaker, that that is something that I would enjoy in the future.
Mm. And to some extent, you're already doing it now. I know that we're working together on a lot of projects, and um, I'd like to ask you then, what words of advice would you like to give somebody who might be starting out in their HR career and may not necessarily come from
Mhm.
an HR
All
background?
right.
Um, what advice could you give?
All right. Uh, know when it's time to take a break. Know when it's time to relax. Do not overextend yourself, because it would take its toll on you. When you start feeling tired, it when you start feeling tired, relax. Uh, take your 15-minute break. Take your lunch break. Enjoy the full 15 minute. Enjoy the full lunch break, because that is your re-energizing moment, and that would give you that to make you more resilient. That's my quick advice.
Okay, thank you so much, Raul. And if people would like to reach you, how would they do that? Just in case they'd like to pick your brains a little, or maybe invite you to be a paid speaker.
Mhm. Well, you could reach me on Facebook. It's at Raul de la Vega. You'd find me. I'm the guy who's holding the plaque. And send me an invite. I'd be very happy to respond.
And that's right. I've seen that plaque that you're holding on your Facebook page. And so, ladies and gentlemen, in behalf of my co-hosts on the Speakers Bureau and this show, The Leader's Edge, I'd like to say thank you to Raul de la Vega for taking time out from his busy schedule and his fun time to be our guest to talk about resilience in the workplace. Thank you so much, Raul.
Pleasure. It's always a pleasure, Dino. Thank you.
And for season 9, episode 3, watch out, ladies and gentlemen, because we will be inviting another Toastmaster, but this time somebody who has uh, explored the wonderful country of Japan as part of his learning experience, having been sent there by the House of Representatives. I'm talking about Jan Ace Mendoza, who will be talking about cultural adaptation. So don't miss that. So, as ever, we'd like to invite you to click like, share, and subscribe if you want to be notified about upcoming shows. And if you want to gain insights from HR people or experts from different fields, different countries, because as ever, we know learning is a never ending journey with limitless vistas. Good day, everybody.